Wow. What can you say about five Final Destination movies in roughly what? 5 to 6 days or something like that? Four in a row, especially, and it's just like, holy smokes. You just look and you're like, that's a lot of movies right there. That's a lot of blood. That's a lot of viscera. That's a lot of death, and it's just like, jeez. Number five was the much needed return to form for the last one that was just desperately missing. Number one and two were freaking great. Number three was over the top. That was needed. Number four just stank. And yes, I will do a ranking. Number five was the much needed return to form, and it was dark and fantastic. I'm like, yes, please, please. I like that. I like that Tony Todd returned. I like the fact that we have some actual grit to this story. We have some actual best as good as it can be for 2000s and 2000 early 2010s horror. I like this movie. Yes, let's get longest disaster opening sequence at 4 minutes and 44 seconds. Yes, let's get a bus that is trying to avoid the bridge that is collapsing, and let's have 8 people survive. And yeah, it's like, okay, we survived this. What is going to happen here? Because these people were on a business retreat, and it's like, yeah, we're having our business. We're gonna We're gonna help with company morale and things like that. And you can draw your own conclusions about how people think about that, but let's not get into that. Yeah, and it feels like the stakes and the tension here is high. What with the great cinematography, the bridge itself looks amazing. They have some wires, some green screen, some digital compositioning, but that's how it's done and how it should be, really. Nice sequences of the bridge stands out of like showing how tall and wide it is. Yes, please give me that. Oh yes. Let's see the actual danger by showing how far our protagonists have to travel in order to get to some place that's safe. And I'm like, yes, we do have another character who's receiving a premonition, but this one isn't goofy. This is, like I said, it's a nice, serious toned vision, if you will, of him just dealing with things. Yeah, of him just dealing with, hey, what's going on here? Why am I going to know who death is? And of course, 8 people survive, and they start getting eliminated in order per the usual conventions that go on for this franchise. And it's like, good. That's what I want to see. At least something, anything, please. Just have it return to form, and it does. And of course, it's like we get the drama going on. It's like, okay, that all discussions about like, hey, yeah, all these people die in this order, they're all going to pass on, and that they all eventually do. Anyway, we eventually see the slow descent of like, how death is starting to affect us all, and the characters is like, they do wrestle with the emotions of death, and survivor's guilt, and thinking like, yeah, you allowed this X person to die, and we're going to have a climactic final battle, and it's a good one, which I'll get to. So with the deaths here, there's maybe a little bit of 3D, but it's not nearly as opulent as it was before. It actually fits the good lead up to the death. There's one of them taking place in a gymnasium, with like the bars and everything else that the ladies use. I forgot what that's called. Yeah, they actually do a good job of making it happen, because we're waiting for this one person, Candace, to like step on a screw or something like that, but she does not. And performs really well. The actress was actually a trained gymnast, so what we see was really good, I guess, choreography. swinging around on the bars, on the balance beam, and everything else, and you're just looking at them like, oh, this is actually really nice to see. I'm like, I was just looking back there like, dang, check this out. And of course, it's like, eventually the death does come, but it's not comical. It's actually, oof, it was disturbing to watch, but in a good way. I guess you can say probably the most well-deserved death was there's this one prick named Isaac who's always trying to get a view of all the ladies, staring at the breasts and everything else, and even saying a last name, a common Chinese, common Chinese, Taiwanese, something like that. I'm trying to remember last name, but it was it, and he's instead of saying WONG, instead of saying wrong, he says the common last name that I just spelled. And I'm like, really? Why do you have to be like that? And I'm just, touches the statue of Buddha. I'm like, yeah, you're just waiting. You're just waiting for this extreme creep to just go the way of the dodo bird, and it is done in such a way with acupuncture, flames, and the Buddha statue that falls and impales his head and just leaves him a bloody mess. Oh, it was glorious, and I'm like, yes, thank you. The build up here was great, and of course, it's like there are varying degrees of like people. It's like most of them are good people. They are actually working inside was at a paper company rather than just high schoolers. I'm like, good. I want to see a different setting where there's the stereotypical high school stuff. Yeah. Then at the end, there's a guy named Peter, Friedkin, who when I looked up the actor, I'm like, he looks like Tom Cruise. Can we call him Tom Cruise's brother, Little Tom? Well, yeah, I'll dim in a minute. Yeah, it turns out he's like, Candace freaking die when you could have saved her, or something like that. He gets his revenge, and they have a climactic battle inside a restaurant, and it's a good, intense one, what with flames and oil fires and everything. And I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted, some actual good characterization. And ultimately, overall, it results in Peter getting impaled, and I'm like, all right, good. This would be like if Tom Cruise starred in the movie, and then the actual actor Miles Fisher. So because of my massive resemblance to Tom Cruise, I decided we did a little deep fake AI where we put like eyes on him or something like that, and they do very respectful videos like him finding out that like, oh my goodness, I've had this lollipop and I discovered that there was bubble gum inside. Just everyday stuff like getting a haircut. Nothing offensive because they don't have the okay from Tom Cruise, but because it's so, how would I say, kids can watch it for no problem. No one would complain. You gotta really check it out. It's called Deep Tom Cruise or something like that. Anyway, yes, overall I really did enjoy this movie. If I had to really find any faults in it, it's just like maybe a little bit of 3D. It was kinda bad, I guess. And maybe one or two of the characters were kind of flat, but I was like saying they were not. I was like saying it's a little flat. Whatever. Music was good. Atmosphere was great. Just yeah, really. I mean, it was a great return to form, and it kind of falls into the conventions of being a horror movie. But again, this is revitalization. It's like, so maybe some people may not like the callbacks. Well, with the log trucks and the Pice Pale Ale, well, I'm like, hey, it's there, but it's not like commanding too much time. So there's that. Tony Todd returns in this one, and he sings whistles leaning on the everlasting arms at 26 minutes in the cemetery scene, ironically foreshadowing the survivor's death. Some of the lyrics of the religious song include, what have I to dread, what have I to fear, leaning on the lever of the on the everlasting arms. I have blessed peace with my Lord so near, leaning on the everlasting arms. So we get 2 moments of him, and also like after he cleans up at a crash scene, and it was very nice to have him. And he would appear in Bloodlines because he had stomach cancer. He pushed himself through, and we got like one last performance from him. So yeah. So how do I feel about all these? Well, I can say that I'm glad I watched them all. I can definitely say yes. This was a good franchise that was recommended, and I'm like, alright, let's see what's going on. So if I had to rank them, dead last, number 4. Forget that one. Forget it. And then this one. This is what I think of number 4. Fuck number 4. Number 3 was comical and over the top that was needed, but you could tell it was starting to go into a more, I don't know, stupid, like frat party direction. Number 3 would be Final Destination 2, because it was still good, but it maybe got a little too dark and a little too serious. Number 2 is number 5, where there's just the right balance of schmucks who really deserve the death and great characters. Number 1 is number 1 because it was kind of the trendsetter and it got the formula established and a lead up to the death. So yeah. What do I think about death myself? Well, you gotta enjoy life on your own terms. Know what you want from life, because it could be taken for. I could probably die in my sleep tonight, but I can say I definitely feel like I'm living a fulfilling life to the best of my ability, you know? And just, I think that, you know, to quote Andy Warhol, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. I do this as a hobby because there are thousands of movies out there, and I want to see some movies that I would have never watched, like for example, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, MASH, The Brother from Another Planet, The Abyss, Final Destination 1 through 5, and I think that maybe if you become really good at like one thing, or pretty gosh darn good at like 3 or 4 different things, like touring gas stations or whatever, you know, just kind of highlighting certain things, then I say yeah, you can do that. You gotta find happiness on your own terms. Stay away from influencers. I don't even care if you watch them, but just admit like, hey, I'm just watching this as a way to blow off steam. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go read Hamlet. Like that. So, that's my thoughts on that, because it's like, you just live a shallow life, honestly. You're really not living that great of a life, in my opinion. Oh my word. I look like Steven Wilson of Porcupine Tree with red hair. So, yeah, I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. Yeah. It'll probably be a review of Final Destination Bloodlines when I can get around to it. So yeah, watch number 5 and avoid number 4.